Michel Robles, one of my favorite guests. I've known you for a very short time, and people have been telling me to interview you because you have such an interesting past and very interesting work that you're doing. So I'm really happy to have you here. From what I've gathered is that you have 10 years across agency, brands, media, and marketing. And then you're basically building campaigns where you are mixing culture and public space, where both of those are meeting. You're at the Nordic Murals, and you have a long-term strategy of premium locations, partnerships with property owners, and you've helped some of the region's best known brands have a large scale street art, which I call them, but it's mural for others, and banner placement. You've also co-founded Splash Media, and you work with Alta Outdoors internationally to bring these campaigns abroad. So if I got that correctly, I will leave it to you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, Sarah, thank you so much for having me. I think it's always hard to introduce yourself when it comes to work, because it's you could either go one way and just pull out the CV and say everything, or you can just minimize everything. So I'm going to try to minimize it by saying that I work with creating brand emotions in public places. Might
And you're
sound dramatic.
No, actually it doesn't, because I love it because you're creating experiences. And
Yeah,
I know that you're mentioning this, we spoke one time, twice before, and you mentioned the word memorable experiences, which I personally really love.
yeah,
But before we get into that, let's go back to who's Michelle?
yeah,
I don't know you. I met you from a friend.
yeah,
I would love to know where do you come from and what is your background? How
yeah,
did you get into this space?
yeah. Of course. So, well, if we start today and then we go backwards, like
Yeah.
like like a movie, you know. So if we're here today, then you're speaking to Michel Robles. I'm 37 years old, soon to be 38. Time flies.
You're still young.
Yeah, I feel young. I feel young in my soul. I have a young soul. My lower back is feeling a bit older as time passes by. But first and foremost, I am a father. I'm a father of two
Yeah.
little boys called Dante and Luca,
Yeah.
5 and 2 years old. And I would say that that's my main purpose in life, is being a father. Also, I have my fiance Amanda. So that's my life in a nutshell. And then we have all the other stuff. But a little bit about my personal history. My parents are South American, so I grew up with that culture, I would say, in a way or in a sense. But I grew up in Stockholm. I was born in Stockholm, and I grew up very, very, very privileged.
Yeah.
Had a house full of love. House, very safe environment. I was thinking a lot about this, Sarah, going into this, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, I didn't want to over-index on struggle. If you
Over-indexed on that. It's fine.
So I'm
We
going to
want to hear it.
over-index on a safe upbringing. Had a really nice upbringing. I have a really good relationship with my parents. I have 4 younger siblings, so I kind of became like an third parent, I would say.
So you're the eldest.
Yeah,
Uh, the curse of being the eldest.
yeah. So, but the first 15 years of my life, I grew up in a semi-rough area, I would say, in Stockholm, called Husby and Akalla, and it was very dynamic because I also went to school in the city. So I grew up in this area and I went to school in the inner city. So I kind of pretty early in my life got to experience a lot of contrast and got enriched with a lot of perspective, I would say. And that itself is a great privilege.
When you say when you say South America, that's where you said you come from. Where specific? I'm
Yeah,
interested
so
in
my
that.
mother is from Bolivia and my father is from Peru.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And that culture because you lived in Husby and Akalla,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you have part of your culture with you as your upbringing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was a very diverse area, Sarah. So we
Yeah.
had like so many different cultures, and it was it was very enriching. You met so many creative people,
Yeah.
and I still to this day believe that those areas are incredible talent hub. Like
Yeah.
it's not only like reaching out and giving opportunity, you have to take opportunity. Like you can't,
Exactly.
life won't handle you opportunities. But I think that
Mm.
if you maybe don't have the network, then I think that all of us that grew up in those type of areas should create a melting pot
Yeah.
where we can exchange, we can help each other, and we can give out that handing that help. Even though it's like, hey, I know Sarah here, or I can email you with this guy, or I can connect you over a lunch, whatever we can do.
Yeah.
So, because I think I grew up with so many talented people.
Yeah.
It's really hard to see the other way around. It was this and this was that, and it was
Yeah.
rough and people died. I really, really, really appreciate. I really appreciate my upbringing.
Yeah. And you said you went to school from Husby and then you went to town for a school.
Yeah,
How was that shift from being there and then going to school there? Did you see the difference as a kid?
yeah, for sure. I mean, I, I met a lot of individuals for the first time, more individuals in the city. I'm gonna tell you what I mean with that.
Yeah,
So
please.
my first day at school, I saw this guy. I think his name was like Gert. I don't remember, but he had this long red hair, green Manchester suit, and he was playing a guitar like sitting on a rock, like playing a guitar. Uh, and I remember that that was such a core memory for me because I have never seen anything like this in my whole life. So I was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" I just wanted to talk to him, reach out to him,
Yeah.
and he was like running away with his guitar, because he thought that
Yeah.
I was some kind of stranger danger. But it was another environment for sure. And other people, they had they consumed other stuff.
Mm.
I drank
Yeah.
juice with like fruit meat in it. Never tried that before. It's like it's something in the juice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, that comes from the culture as well, because
yeah,
sometimes you're stuck with what you know.
yeah, of course, yeah. But it was really fun, and I also learned a lot about status. We had other status markers where I came from.
Okay.
So what was very, very, very important in maybe Akalla and Husby was less important in Kungsholmen, for example. So if you had like a branded shirt, that was really important in Husby,
Yeah.
or if you were an athlete, or if you, yeah, those type of things. But with my other friends, other things were more important, like can you run a marathon, or have you read this book, or yeah, it was a different word. So very enriching, and um, as I said, a lot of perspective.
Yeah. I can imagine, because if when you're coming from a space like Husby-Kista, Akella, I can imagine that people there are more eager to be part of the society. And there is that part where you feel like there's a division,
Yeah,
you know? And I do understand what you mean, the perspective of having two different worlds and two different realities.
yeah,
And how did you manage that as a kid? Like, did you find that, okay, this is fascinating? Did you find a huge gap? What
yeah.
was going through your head?
I think, like all kids, you're just trying to find yourself. And I think that there were periods where that was harder, and there were periods when that was easier. And I think for me, the easier period is being a grown up. But then at that time, of course, I used to go. Have you went with the blue line, the subway?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
live on the blue line. Guess, ask me where I live.
Where do you live?
Husby.
No! My God! I love this. Oh,
The thing is, I'm letting you go because I know exactly where we both come from.
yeah,
And when you're talking about it, I know, I see exactly what you're saying.
yeah.
So go on.
And you let me go for so long.
It's okay. I mean,
There you
I know
go.
you're the thing is, I know you well enough
Mm,
in the short time I've known you that it must have been a good experience for you to
yeah,
come as far as you have come,
yeah, I
you
think,
know?
yeah.
So, yeah, that's why I let you go. I was like, I know.
That's
Yeah,
crazy. That's really fun. Well, obviously, like as a kid, there's other factors, peer pressure and stuff like that. So I had this cue when I went with the subway, and when I passed Hallonbergen,
yeah,
that's where I used to like adjust my clothes a bit. So maybe I was like a bit buttoned up, and then I would like open up, maybe pull up, my
yeah.
pants a bit. So code shifting, as the kids say.
For those who don't know, Hallonbergen is like on this in Stockholm Blue Line,
Yeah,
and it's one of the longest ride between one station to another.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's a bit about my upbringing. I used to play a lot of football. I used to like to compete in sports. I played a bit of hockey as well, and
Yeah.
but just a normal kid, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And how did you besides that, when did you start moving out of Husby and like what was that transition?
yeah. So my parents moved when I was 15, and then they moved to Spånga, where they still today. And then I was there a couple of years before moving out. So my dream was to be a lawyer. And I really wanted to be a lawyer because my grandfather was a lawyer, and yeah, it was like a family thing. Like you need to be. Um, I went to Uppsala Law School, juristprogram, 2 weeks. Yeah, and I felt right away that okay, I will absolutely suck as a lawyer, honestly. My main characteristics won't really be needed in this job. You need to be better at stuff that I'm bad at. So what I
Oh,
did, Sarah, was that I started calling people that I knew or knew somebody that I knew, and asked about people that worked at different agencies, the big ones, and I asked a bit more about how's your daily life, what do you do at work, and after 2 or 3 interviews, it really landed that, yeah, this is not my pursuit. So I went backpacking to India and South America. And when I came back, I was like, I'm going to be a creative director.
oh wow.
Yeah. And I don't know if I'm a creative director yet. I don't think so. I think that what I do and what I've excelled at in life is sales. That's my strength. And then obviously there's different layers to it, but sales is in my DNA, I would say.
But what is interesting is you went and after 2 weeks,
Yeah.
you knew this is not for you. What made you start contacting agencies? Because that's not something I would do. Like, what was it about?
Felt out of depth in a way, and also I felt that I needed some kind of referral. So I just didn't want to give up my dream, really. So that's why I needed to ask people in that industry, how is this, like, is there gold on the other side of this rainbow? And the answer I got was not enough for me to pursue that. Yeah.
And then you went on your journey on the trips.
Yeah, I went to the trips, and I experienced life. I grew a bit as a person. I grew a bit as a man, and it was very important for me to understand how privileged I am. We were born in this life of privilege, and I don't know how it would be if I grew up in South America or India. I don't know if I would
Yeah.
have the same luck or the same skills, or I don't know if anybody would be interested in talking to me even about what I've done in my career. I know that I've been worked really hard, but I also grew up in a playing field that is pretty leveled. I mean, obviously obstacles, but tell that to a kid in Mumbai. So yeah, so it was very important to me. I came home, I started studying. I worked at a big Swedish media agency. I worked at a London-based agency, and then I've been at a marketing. I work at a marketing department at a FMCG company. Yeah, I've been all over the place, I would say, but my main thing and my main love when it comes to communication is collabs, collaborations, obviously out of home. Out of home is a main thing for me.
Yeah.
And I remember, Sarah, because I saw this really, really. I wanted to buy GTA. Do you know the game GTA, Grand Theft Auto? Yeah, I wanted to buy it. I talked about it. I talked to everybody about it, and I saw it everywhere. But I couldn't really pull the trigger because I was young and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I need to buy food, those type of challenges. And then I went with the subway to T-Centralen. I went up for the stairs and I saw this banner of a Grand Theft Auto. It was like a 300 square meter banner. And I just looked at it and I just realized that I really need to buy this game. And that's actually the company that I started working for.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. I became a junior partner at that company. The CEO, a dear friend of mine called Anders Axelsson, kind of, I would say, forced him to interview me.
persistent.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We went to this coffee place in Östermalm. You know when you get the coffee and there's like a stick and you have to push it down? Yeah, and I didn't really know that. So I was like, poor, and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And but yeah, so that's
Yep.
where I started, and that's where the outdoor journey started for me. I spent a couple of years there. I went to work at one big telecom company for 2 years, working with a really big part of their sales. Very good for me to be at a semi-high level at a big corporation. It gave me a lot of perspective as well. And then I
Yeah.
came back to ACM when they had the IPO 2019. And that was also like a great experience as a partner, but still a junior partner. I learned a lot about equity, honestly, and also
Yeah.
taking a chance because
Mm.
I did it in some way, but in some way not. So I got to feel the feeling of winning, but I didn't really commit enough to really feel that what I think I wanted to feel at the time. So it was a big experience for me, and I'm really happy to be part that I was part of that journey.
But you mentioned the word privilege a
Yeah.
couple of times. I'm very curious because I've been thinking about this myself for the past
Mm.
few months in terms of how privileged I am. Even just the fact that I do have the basic, simple stuff,
Yeah.
food, water,
Yeah.
a roof over my head, and my healthy kids. What is privilege to you?
I think privilege for me is well, it's a lot of things. I would say that my kids and my family were safe. We're safe. We're going home. Nothing is going to happen. No bombs will drop on our head today,
Yeah.
and we have food and we were safe. That's like a main. I would say that's a baseline privilege that we have. But then also for me, Sarah, when I look back at this in 20
Mm.
years' time, I know for a fact that I had the opportunity, I have the possibility to try to achieve my dreams. It's not in anybody else's hand. It's not the the opportunity is there. The chance is mine to take it, to grab it.
Yeah.
That for me is true privilege.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of things we take for granted because we live it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And also, like, maybe if you grew up in a way where you don't appreciate anything,
Mm.
I mean, you could
Yeah.
have all the chance in the world, but if you don't appreciate it, then maybe you can't really smell the flowers, if you get me.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 absolutely.
Yeah. So
100% agree.
yeah,
And this is interesting, but going back to another moment that you mentioned. So you came going back to your trip
yeah,
to Tia Centralen, and then you come out
yeah,
and you see this huge billboard.
yeah.
What was it with the billboard that, made you? I mean, it must have been that the feeling or the experience that you got just by looking at it, that it had this immersive experience.
Yeah,
Because now what you're doing is basically exactly the same thing. You're
it's
creating
exactly the same thing.
experiences.
Yeah, I mean, we work with really big formats, large scale
Yeah.
formats. Our aim is always to create memories. I think that the digital part of marketing is extremely, extremely important, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that AI is extremely important, and it's doing a lot to make everything more effective. And it's amazing. It really
Yeah.
is. I think that digital is distribution more when it
Yeah.
comes to marketing. And what we do is to create real memories. I think that there's a difference between that.
Yeah.
The thing with the banner, Sarah, was not the banner. It was not the banner. It was not the product. It was the magnitude of the moment. So I could feel this iconic moment when okay, let me give you an example. And I don't want to rant about outdoor marketing now, but
No, no, go ahead.
it's really hard for me. And I also I
Go
don't
ahead.
know how personal I'm going to get here, but we've talked
It's
personal
absolutely
for
fine.
30 minutes. So,
You
so
have all the time you need. Go on.
yeah, but I think that, the digital distribution is so important, but what we do
Yeah.
is different. We're trying to create a relationship, a real brand equity with the client. So, for example, LeBron James is the best basketball player in the world, some would say. And if you think about LeBron James, you could just scroll past 14 LeBron James ads in a day, but there's a classic billboard of LeBron James when his arms out in
Yeah.
Cleveland, the Witness. It's like 1,000 square meters, and it's iconic. If you think about LeBron James, or if you think about LeBron James um, ads, or just him being commercial, you
Yeah.
think about this banner because it's the magnitude of the moment. Brands who understands that, they create true brand equity, and brand equity equals loyalty, and that equals
Yeah.
legacy. So it's not about me wanting to buy the game the same way as it's not about LeBron James
Mm.
being a Nike sponsored athlete. It's
Yeah.
about me witnessing and wanting to be a part of greatness. So when I
Yeah.
see LeBron James at this banner, I see greatness, and a part of me wants to be a part of that
Yeah.
in my own way. It could be being the best soccer player in your schoolyard, or it could be being the best podcast host or the best
Yeah.
outdoor marketing person. Brands who understands that this is earned and not bought, they get
Exactly.
outdoor marketing. I can give you another example. Let's say like this: me and you have a marketing budget, and we
Yeah.
can buy a thousand ads. We can do it via AI. We can have everything done tomorrow, like a fast food chain, right?
Yeah.
And we can work a lot of reach. Let's pump up reach. So we're renting this space, right? We're renting this digital space. But when it comes to impact, you're not renting any space. You're earning the space, and you're
Mm.
being part of the landscape of the city. That's only for real brands. There's For every real brand, there's a million brands that lives today and dies tomorrow. They're just trying out to see, hey, okay, do we get any traction here? Are we hitting a wave? Can we
Mm.
supply? So it's apples and pears, I would say.
I mean, personally, you don't need to convince me because I love it. I
Yeah.
love the experience side of it. And I know, I mean, I come from the design and art background. So whenever I see these things, I'm the first to take pictures.
Yeah.
It becomes a part of your daily journey or your experience. Like when you're in Paris, you see these murals, or when you're in London,
Yeah.
I mentioned to you Banksy, you
Yeah.
look at these and then you start taking pictures.
Yeah.
You go on an Easter hunt in London
Yeah.
just to look for them.
Yeah.
It's an experience within itself because you appreciate also more if you have that outlook of the world where you're not just immersed in the digital space, you want to discover.
Yeah.
And personally, I think more and more these things will become prominent for brands, just like you said, because you create an experience that is, you take a picture, you can take it with you, you're part of that. the art is behind me and I'm
Yeah.
part of that
It's a
experience.
landmark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if it's digital, I mean, I just scroll past by it and, I forgot about it.
Yeah.
What's more to do?
Yeah, it's more, yeah, and that's true. And that also has a really important part in this.
Yeah.
Because if you want to build awareness, it's perfect. Also, if you look at a lot of outdoor companies has what they call a Eurosize banner. They're
Yeah.
small, but they buy a lot, and that's also really, really important to build reach and awareness and that. But what we're aiming for is to create a relationship and a memory.
Yeah.
And I'm so blessed to have such a strong team with creators. I am not so creative, to be honest with you. I thought I was creative until I met these guys, but
Yeah.
Carl Winblad, for example, Felix Paulin, Lars Hjertstedt, these guys are they're geniuses at work. Street
Yeah.
artists, painters, and and then my role becomes another. It's more to facilitate for the real creators and maybe be a
Yeah.
bridge between the part of the commercial side and the art side.
Yeah. Because this is a question we do have though. Like if you look at forums, people take pictures
Yeah,
and they come and ask and they say, I saw this street art.
yeah,
Who's the artist?
yeah,
And we don't see that much. You don't get to know who the person behind it, which I find it really interesting. Like, who are these guys that are
yeah,
bringing these to life?
yeah.
But it's a teamwork, obviously.
Yeah, and these are madmen, they're like old street artists that have been doing this since way back, and they
Yeah.
did it without any contracts from the biggest, from Adidas or Netflix. They did it for the love of the game, and that's where you find the true value. I think like the truest of value is when, if you, I would love a brand. We work with a lot of big brands today, and we have. I don't want to give too much examples, but we have one really big luxury car brand, and
Yeah.
they told us to like, hey guys, do what you want. And this was for me like, okay, this is like the epiphany of like luxury. Like this is the coolest brand ever. And the guys created magic. And I think that if
Wow.
you give an artist a white canvas,
Yeah.
if you give an artist freedom,
Yeah.
that's when you will get the most value.
100%.
Um,
I mean, I work with creatives all the time. And the thing is, one of the worst thing you can do is it is good to have guardrails, but sometimes just to get that artist to bring out their best
yeah.
is to allow them to do what they do best at their work and just leave them alone. And they come with these amazing work and you're like, I I never doubted you, but now you just proved me right on so many levels,
Yeah. It takes a
just
lot of
because you work.
patience to do that.
Yeah, and it takes, I think it takes trust in, from my perspective, I worked with different types of artists as well in my work, like designers, videographers, editors. And once you find the right fit between you and them and you understand each other, it becomes so much easier to communicate and they just create something and they are eager to bring their best work out also for themselves.
Yeah.
So a lot of my advice to a lot of companies and brands would be, if you have designers, you're working with them, whether they're digitally
Mm.
working on an experience or they're creating something tangible, at times let them be. Give them the freedom and they will surprise you. They will go above and beyond.
Yeah.
For a fact, I've seen this happen
Yeah,
again
for
and
sure.
again.
Yeah.
So,
It's the same in every sport, and creators need to create and they need a love.
yeah.
They need some attention and I do too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you need a professional, strategic person behind all of this
Yeah.
happening. So I'm sure you're doing an excellent job. But tell me, I'm out of my own curiosity, has
Yeah.
there been brands where you felt like you had to convince them that this is a good approach for their, to spend their money?
Yeah, every day.
What are their objections?
I think, yeah, that's a good question. There's a lot of different objections. Back in the days, the objection was for 10 years ago, people used to say, yeah, but if I put 500,000 in Facebook, then I will get these amount of
Ah,
clients, right? I think that time has passed by a bit. They understand the value of it. But I mean, obviously, world economy, and you have to prioritize, and there's budgets are based upon X factors, and those things is every day.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with sales. You have to be almost like a duck. Everything just
Yeah.
have to run. How do you say? It's just have to slide off you. Yeah. It's like I have my creative director, and I take him to meetings, and he makes this amazing pitch, and he's like, "Oh my God, why did he say no?" And I was like, "Bro, this is life. This is a part of the game." So yeah, for sure, all the time. It's hard for me to say one specific reason why. But obviously, if you want to have exposure outside, having one site doing that really big and creating impact and magnitude is one thing, but also having reach has another value. So I think it's mostly between different uh, outdoor activations at this point. But I truly, truly, truly believe, and I aim for to do less things. I want to do less campaigns. I want to do smaller volumes, but I want to do
Okay.
things that really matter and that people remember. Can
Yeah.
I give you one example of a
Of
campaign?
course. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to give you two. I'm going to give two examples that
Sure.
I'm very proud of, but I think that the value overshadows my proudness. We were in charge of PlayStation's 30th birthday, and what we did was we did like this. We created a machine that makes a wall of water in the sea outside of the castle in Stockholm, and we made this hologram. I will send this to you.
Oh, I
Uh,
love holograms. You
yeah,
have to.
we did like this living hologram, and we created like a guitar hero type of a game where people outside of the castle can just press big buttons and like match the hologram, and they could win a PlayStation. And it was I was there. Obviously, I think it was worse than today, and you're here in Stockholm as well. So I think it was like 13 minus 14 degrees. It was. I was really in pain after a while, but just seeing these kids, this line of kids and adults, for that matter, standing there waiting for their shot at this game 9 hours straight, uh, then you're creating a value. You're creating a true value. We were in Copenhagen as well, and we worked with this big sporting brand, and they have this shoe, and the shoe and everything around the shoe involves being obsessed of scoring goals. Obsession, scoring goals. So we went to Copenhagen to a place called Rødeplatz. To all my Danish friends, I'm sorry for my pronunciation. But Rødeplatz, or, yeah, you get it. The red square. Sarah, we created this football field with a goal that counts how many goals you score, right? And it counted how many goals everybody scored, and you got on this Top Gear type of big list on a big screen, so you can see, okay, I'm number 2, I'm number 1, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the weekend, the winner who scored the most amount of goals, they got painted on a 250 square meter wall in the square,
Oh, wow.
holding the golden shoe with their
Oh,
name. And I can honestly say that for these kids that were there every day, 9 hours straight, this was a memory, a core
yeah.
memory of their life. And I think it's amazing. I think
That's
it's
lovely.
amazing because we're still it's a commercial thing, but
Yeah.
we're trying to blur the lines between what's commercial and what's not.
Yeah.
And to do that, you have to do something of value.
I mean, I love that. And this is what I think. There's sometimes some brands that understand what you just explained, where you're basically giving back to your fans in small ways. I mean, I can imagine that kid that got that one
Yeah,
went with a memory for a lifetime, and you got customers for a lifetime.
yeah, for sure.
You just won yourself an extremely great fan base for many years to come because of that memorable experience they walked away with.
Yeah, for sure. And the kid who won, he was like the king. He was the king
Yeah.
of Norrebro.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, because I could see myself standing in the same line trying to
Yeah.
win. So
But that explains it. I mean, how much people want that in-person experience, because with all these AI slobs and everything being so AI oriented, sometimes you get sick and tired of it. I personally love anything that has to do with mixing the both worlds, the digital and the physical world,
yes.
where you're giving experiences, you're building communities, you're being somewhere grateful also for the fans that are coming and giving you something. But one other thing that I'm wondering about is, how long does these campaigns usually go about? Is
It
it,
depends on the permit and the campaign and so
yeah.
I would say anywhere between 2 weeks, 4 weeks.
So that kid had his picture up there for a few weeks.
Yeah, he had his picture up for a while. Yeah, for sure. I met this graffiti artist and I asked her because she's really, really, really good, right? She's
Yeah,
amazing. She's an artist. Graffiti artist is like a really small shop. She's an artist, and it's kind of hard to have her join a project because she only joins projects where she thinks, well, if she's excited about it, or else
exactly.
it's a no for her. And and I asked her, like, this painting, we did it for a streaming service. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's such a piece of art. Doesn't it hurt you that we're gonna paint it over?
Oh,
And she told me, like, we're street artists. This is the way we grew up.
yeah.
Every beautiful
Oh,
art piece I ever made was painted over. So I can't really own it forever. It's the world's. So I think that was a cool perspective for me. Because if I
yeah.
painted something that beautiful, I would say,
Leave it on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You need to keep this.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the interesting part when you meet artists from different, if it's a sculptor or someone that works in that field, they have their own perspective
Yeah,
of sculpture. You know, it has an end. Their output or their creative output has a journey,
yeah.
and sometimes the journey is destructive. It needs to end there. And in her case, she comes to terms with long ago probably that, you know, it will be painted over it, and then she brings up something new.
Can I ask you a question, Sarah?
Of course, ask me a question.
So you have been interviewing entrepreneurs during this period of time and during this project.
Yeah.
Can you see some tendencies or similarities, or is there anything that you can, like, "Ah, okay, this is like a common thing? Do you have any of those things?
I would say from the people that I have seen and from also meeting a lot of founders, the love for the craft or what they're doing, I think it needs to be very important. And that's what I've seen lately with the ones that I've interviewed. They have a passion for what they do. I can name a few they wouldn't mind. I mean, Philip, he works in NGO and he has a background, and when you listen to his journey, he also comes from very deep understanding of the craft that he's in. Then you talk to Roger, which he's in real estate, and how he ended up there and he developed a passion for it. So I think the love for what you do is extremely important. And I'm seeing that thread show up in every single one of you guys that come on. I also, this is my perspective, I also think that as entrepreneurs, we do have this dip that we go through. I don't know about your dip. I
Yeah.
haven't heard. I'm sure there is, but there's that dip that we go through until we figure out what we really want. Once we figure that out, I think that's where the love for the journey starts.
Yeah.
So I see that a lot, like, with the people that I've worked with before as well.
Yeah, it's interesting with the dips and with the ups and downs. It's definitely like a love-hate thing for me sometimes. I think that during the pandemics and afterwards, there was somewhat of a trend for everybody to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I do have a lot of respect for people having normal jobs, or
Yeah.
yeah, there's many ways to find your perfect life, your perfect truth, and there's no recipe for what that should be.
Yeah.
My mother, she works at a daycare, and she's been working at not really the same, but in the same area in Husby, in the
Yeah.
daycare for plus, I think it should be like 40 years now. And she has a purpose. She has a great
Yeah.
purpose to help these kids and to be there for the kids. And I think that that comes in many different ways.
Yeah.
There's no linear way to success.
And I don't think everybody should be a founder and entrepreneur. I think it's a misconception. It has become the cool thing,
Yeah.
for the past decade or so, because we're so much in the tech world. I work in design and tech, so it's very common. But I don't think everybody needs to be part of that in order to feel that they're on their pursuit of getting their dreams. I know a lot of people that they don't want to start businesses, but that doesn't mean they're not entrepreneurial in their way of thinking.
Yeah, exactly. You can be an entrepreneur as well.
Yeah, and I think letting people be, it's just people find their journeys in different ways. Some people love working with others. They don't like to do what you're doing, because being at the helmet is not as easy as well. It's a lot of pressure. Sometimes I also feel that way, like, why do I need to start this?
Yeah,
Why?
yeah,
What I meant by loving the journey, definitely, it's not all flower and roses at
no,
all.
definitely not. And if you expect
you know
that, you need to go another route.
Exactly. And I think give yourself the permission to what we talk about as well, like give yourself permission to just be. And if it doesn't work, like my company, the previous one, it didn't work. It could be my lack of knowledge, or it could be there are so many things I'm lacking in terms of capital and network. Whatever it is, I had to come to terms with that it didn't work. And now we close it, and then now we move on to something else.
Was it hard for you to come to terms with that?
Not at all. I mean, yesterday I had a phone call with the lawyer, and we just went through the last bit of formalities of closing the company. I think there's a part of you where you're so stubborn. You're like, I need to make this work.
Yeah.
But for who?
Yeah, for sure. That's interesting. I have a mentor of mine. He talks about a lot about effort justification. That you can justify everything just because you put so much effort into it. So you're like, no, but this is going to work, and if it's not working, you can just run into the same wall 1,000 times.
Exactly.
But that can also be a way to justify for yourself that you're doing the right thing. A lot of skillful entrepreneurs, people I know or mentors of mine, they're really good at failing. They're like really good at failing and failing fast and really, okay, boom. It's not even a matter of coming to terms with it. They're just on to the next thing because they just cook the pasta, they throw it at the wall, and
Yeah.
they see that it's not sticking. So on to
Yeah.
the next one. And that's also a hard thing to do when you're passionate.
Yeah. And also, I think for me personally, I'm not speaking for others, but for me, it was really difficult because you put so much time and money into it.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, let me just weigh the options. Am I getting anywhere with this? Or am I just working towards something because I built a two-sided marketplace. I built the whole application. And then I realized in order for this to be picked up, I need a lot of capital, and I don't have that. So immediately I was like, okay, now I need to start thinking differently because this is becoming a burden rather than an opportunity at this stage. And then once I made that decision,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I slept for days.
Yeah,
I
you're
was like,
free now.
I was.
Yeah, for sure.
So before wrapping things up, I always have 3 questions
Yeah.
to ask. And starting with one, if you could go back in time and give yourself a piece of advice during your journey, what would that be?
I would say that's a really good question. I would say that nothing is linear. Like it's gonna be ups, it's gonna be downs, and it really is not always aligned with effort or way of thinking or strategy, there's a world going on around you, and everything is not centered around you and your choices. So I would say that strap up and good luck. It sounds really dramatic, Sarah, but that is the case. I mean,
I know.
there's when people ask like, how is everything going? Everything is going really good, right? And sometimes I don't even know what to answer, like, because in my head I can just see like, okay, we have 10 bridges burning here, there's
Yeah.
burning here, we have
Yeah.
10 possible good things, we have this amazing thing maybe happening. So to navigate through all these emotions is really hard.
Yeah.
Another advice I would give myself is no dramatic big changes.
Ooh, I have that too.
Yeah, that's good. I've been doing it a lot. Big dramatic changes.
Yeah.
Now we're throwing everything away. We're doing
Yeah.
this, but I really, really, really believe in small accumulated details.
Yeah. Great answer. Good one. The next one. What's something you believe now that you didn't believe 5 years ago?
I believe that to be a great father, you have to put your family first. And I think that a younger me thought
Yeah.
maybe was a bit, I would say that I was maybe wrongly programmed to
Yeah.
think that, yeah, I'm going to do this and that. And yeah, and the family is going to be great. That's not the case. Family is not a side operation. Family
Yeah.
is the main, and the rest will follow.
Exactly. Especially when you have small kids.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And last one. What is the hardest lessons you've learned and how did it change you?
Yeah, wow, it's a really, really hard question because it also goes a bit in line with the first one. So I don't want to repeat myself. So I don't want to be boring. But my hardest lesson learned, I would say that my hardest lesson learned is that the team matters. You have to have the right team, and you have to. I say this to all new emerging entrepreneurs. You have to have the
Mm.
right team around you, and it's really, really easy to skip that step. You're doing this, I'm doing that. Let's go, like you're Ninja Turtles, you know. But that's not the case. You have to be aligned in a lot of stuff. You have to also challenge each other, and you have to also work on how you challenge each other. I mean, you're different individuals, and how you communicate. It's like being in a relationship. And if you
Yeah.
if you don't like being in a relationship, then you have to be single. Then you
Yeah.
shouldn't have a team. You should do it by yourself. So, and if you don't, then you better approach the team and the relationship with your co-founders as being married.
Yeah. That's a nice way of putting it because sometimes I think we forget the importance of the collaboration between everyone.
Mm,
You know, especially myself, like if I worked with some certain teams and they didn't understand where we're going,
mm.
it becomes really difficult to get that, great outcome.
Yeah.
So, Michelle, thank you so much.
Thank
This
you.
was fantastic.
Thank
Is
you,
there
sir.
anything I haven't asked you that you wish to?
No, not at all. You asked me everything and more. I think it's been a pleasure to be part of this episode, be the
Thank you.
episode. And I think you're doing great stuff. And if there's anything I can do to help you, just let me
Thank
know,
you.
and I will do that for sure.
Thank you so much. This was fantastic.
Thank you.
Loved it. Thank you.
Take care, Sarah.
Thank you.